Welcome to Breakout Investors. Today we are speaking with the management of Locafy, ticker LCFY, specifically the company's CEO, Gavin Burnett. Joining me on today's call are Breakout Investors Brian Robson and Florian Bushek. This call is being recorded on November 17th, 2024, and will be distributed via the Breakout Investor YouTube channel and our Substack network. Supporting materials in post-call analysis will be posted on the Breakout Investors collaboration app, available on the app stores and available at breakoutinvestors.com. The application and much of the research content is free. We also invite you to join our WhatsApp community, which is linked to in our YouTube profile. So let's get the call started by me handing it over to Gavin for a brief presentation and followed Q&A with Brian and Florian. Gavin?
Thanks, Josh. Thank you very much. Just before I get into the presentation here, you might, the investors within Breakout Investor may have already familiarised themselves with the recent release of our 20F Q1 financial results, and also the very pleasing announcement of the deal that we did with a global media group that we've been working very hard for close to 2 years to get that transaction completed. There are the disclaimers, and I'll make a copy of this presentation available to you guys as well. The problem we solve is that many businesses are effectively invisible to Google, and for most businesses, they've got a single location, or they're physically located in a particular area, and their customers are all around them. The problem is that customers will be searching for a particular type of business, and if you're not appearing high in search, then you're not in the race to get that business. Visibility is legitimately restricted to page 1 of Google. If you're not on page 1, then you're not in the hunt at all. 99% of customers will rather type in a second search term than go to page 2. And for most businesses, this would be a little alarming, is customers don't necessarily know your brand, and what customers are looking for is a service or a product or a thing, and they don't necessarily have a brand in mind. So that's again why it's important, because the customers are not looking for you per se, they're looking for what you do. And it's a big market. Visibility is a massive market globally. About $750 billion are spent trying to get visibility or get their business in front of people looking for their products and services. There's only 3 ways to do that. The first one is to buy ads, and that's a very legitimate way to get onto page 1. It's the only way you can guarantee it, for sure. But once your budget's spent, then that presence is gone. Now, depending on the type of search, there's really 2 types of searches. There's local search and there's national searches. In local searches, the map will tend to be fairly prominent in search results. It's not always at the top, but it often is. But when it is prominent, then it actually delivers a very large amount of the traffic to a small business's website. It's about 44% of all organic traffic for local search will go through the map pack. And then organic search results, these are websites, web pages, directory listings, whatever Google determines is the most relevant website, it will surface up according to the searches that people have put in place. So they're really the 3 spots. If you're not in one of those 3, then you're not going to get any customers coming to your website. So what current solutions are there that, what alternatives do you have aside from paid ads? Well, really SEO is the only alternative, and typically it's very costly, time consuming. It takes a long time to see meaningful results. And AI has come along, and it's disrupted SEO in quite a big way. Many websites have lost valuable rankings and can't get them back. And Google is constantly changing its search algorithm, which for us, and I'll get into a bit of detail on that, has actually turned out to be a fantastic thing. But for a lot of businesses, it's very depressing, because they think they've just solved the SEO issues for their website, and then another algorithm change comes in and they've lost whatever rankings they've managed to achieve. So what do we see ourselves as? Well, the narrative or the storyline that we now delivered and have been delivering over the past 6 months is that we're transitioning into being a publishing business. owning our own assets, that if customers want that prominence online, then they'll need to acquire pages that is essentially running on our technology. That way we're in complete control of it. So it all starts with content curation, getting that into the Locafy platform and enabling the production of a range of products that will deliver prominent rankings and drive consumer engagement. So we've basically got a 5-step process here for the core technology platform that we have built, and over the next 6 to 9 months, our internal objective is to have these technologies. We have all of these technologies now in operation. It's seamlessly bringing them together so that it's a fully automated approach. So the recommendation for customers, or particularly local customers, is create good quality content, create high quality, unique content, which is relevant to your business. And because people are time poor and you want to get as much bang for your buck, if you follow this process, get your content into some type of directory, or put it into our platform and we'll publish it under one of the directories that we own. We'll then also syndicate that content to a number of third-party properties, directories, apps, maps, and other properties that have high domain authority or relevance to Google. And that's going to give your business a lot more relevance in the eyes of Google. Using that same content, we can inject that content into our platform and specifically into our local pages. Now, those pages run on our platform, on our technology. They're all pre-structured for whatever business category and whatever location you want to rank for. And that can be largely programmatically achieved with the same content. And then the final step for local businesses is utilizing some of that same data and pushing it through to the Google Business Profile. So that way, by the time you've completed this 5-step process, you've essentially got multiple points of prominence, multiple points of publishing online. You've got highly effective targeted landing pages, and you've got an optimized Google Business Profile. Step 1. This is really important. It's getting the content right, getting unique, authentic content. I won't get into the specifics of why you need that, but I can assure you that having unique, authentic content at the outset is super important. Get that content into our platform and create a business listing. It doesn't really matter where you push it first. You can push it to HotFrog, which is one we own, obviously, or others that we own. And then we will syndicate that content to these and other properties, including Yelp and Bing, Waze, all sorts of places like that. And that this is really important too from an AI perspective. So when you think about the internet, a lot of people confuse Google and the internet, thinking it's one and the same thing. It's not. The internet is the internet, and Google simply, well, not simply, but it's an algorithm that crawls over the internet to produce a series of results, or a mega directory, if you like. AI is kind of doing the same thing. So if you're a small business, AI has really got one place to go and get the content from, and that's the internet. So if your information is inaccurate or inconsistent in lots of places, that's going to confuse AI. Whereas if it's very consistent, that's going to be helpful. And it also means that your chances of getting a conversion or getting user engagement and getting the right phone number and address and so forth is much higher. And AI is no doubt going to have an impact on search going forward, because it does give the consumer a different experience, but that's a topic for another day. To increase your relevance, use that same content to produce landing pages. Now, these landing pages are specifically designed to rank for a particular keyword in the immediate area that you, the target area that you're looking to be found in. And we can deliver up to 200. We don't recommend doing any more than that. 200 pages per deployment, and target very specific keywords and locations. Our analytics track all of that and give you a very clear understanding of what keywords are working best for you, where you're ranking well, what keywords are ranking well, etc., etc. And then the last part of the puzzle for the moment is optimizing your GBP, and we can do that in a very simple, effective way, where you will get prominence not just in your immediate location, but in up to about a 13-mile radius of where your business might be located. And we gradually increase the signals to your GBP using our technology to increase your prominence in a much wider area than you might otherwise previously have experienced. Here's just another example. We have loads of them, from restoration companies to real estate groups to mortgage brokers, all sorts of different businesses. It works for all categories. The exciting development that we have recently deployed is the ability to generate AI-generated articles. Now, these articles are basically the content is derived from the business listing content. So again, it's using the same pool of content that the customer puts into the platform at the outset. And these articles for local businesses can be run off the back of Hot Frog or any of the other properties that we own. And our early testing, we've delivered some great results, getting to page one in a very short amount of time. So I see this as being a pretty valuable value add for our partners and also ourselves. And I think we'll start to see some traction on that early in the new calendar year. Our market edge, well, it's time to implement. It doesn't take long at all to implement our solutions. We typically see green shoots within 30 days and typically would see page one rankings inside of 90. It's a very cost-effective approach, minimal upfront setup fees, and then a recurring campaign management fee, compared to other solutions which can take weeks, months, or years, slow to impact, and typically can be quite expensive. So what's our go-to-market strategy with this 5-step approach that we talked about? So all of the customers you can see there on the left, they're partners. They're customers that pay us money to publish business listings across our digital assets, being Hot Frog, Aussie Web, Pink Pages, Super Pages, and Scoop. Between all of these partners, they have around 24 million plus business listings. I won't get into the details of specifically how many each of these have. What I can say to you is that we're now in quite advanced discussions with several of these partners to actually deploy exactly what I talked about earlier in this presentation, and that's taking their business listings and turning them into landing pages, because these companies are looking for additional revenue streams that are simple, that are automated, and I think what we built here is something that would be applicable to any one of those partners that you can see on the left-hand side there. And the products that we can create from that data that these partners are pushing into our platform are on the right-hand side of the products. Listings, local pages. We can also boost the map pack, and now it's in the prototype. We know it works. Is generate articles at the local level. So the extension to our go-to-market strategy, that's really what we're doing on the local level, is working with existing partners that have existing data that we can. We don't have to go and hunt for these customers; they're already there. It's a case of negotiating arrangements with them and deploying the technology that we have. At the national level, you would have seen the announcement last week about the deal that we've done with a global media company, and that is to produce articles that will rank at a national level. Now, this is going back to what I was saying earlier in the presentation, where Google in this instance have done us a huge favour. We were working with this company last year, helping them boost articles on their news sites, and that was working really well. And we did put out some announcements about how well that was all working. And then Google changed the rules and started issuing penalties. Now, why they did that is in their eyes, it was site abuse. So without giving away names, and I can't reveal who the client is, but they were one of many publishers in the US that were utilizing their high domain authority, in some cases 92, 93, 94, which for those of you that are across SEO, that's a very, very good domain authority. But what they were doing is within the editorial section of their website, so on the root domain and in the folder structure, they would also be running articles for a range of customers from health, finance, gambling, medical marijuana, all sorts of things like that. And Google said, well, you're actually abusing your site authority by taking consumers off from your editorial content to a third-party website. And Google gave them all a warning in March and said, you need to fix that, otherwise we're going to de-index your websites. Many didn't do anything about it, and in May, Google actually followed through and delivered manual penalties and started de-indexing, basically pulling pages down from these household brand name companies. So that opened up the opportunity for us, where this literally cost these companies millions and millions of dollars in lost revenue, and they've got no alternative. They cannot run these articles on their news sites. So the strategy we came up with was, well, we can make these rank. So why don't we create the site, utilize the same articles that you just pulled down and republish them? And they have eventually agreed. And now we're going live with the first batch of those articles, which we're pretty pleased about. The other thing with that is that we actually then own the asset. We own the website that these articles are being published on. And why we believe that this won't present any issues from a Google perspective or any search engine is that they're topic specific. They're not pretending to be anything they're not. They're a specific topic-based website with relevant content. It's not mixed in with any news content, and we've got the technology to make it rank very quickly for the target keywords. So this will help that publisher recover their lost revenue, and from our point of view, we get paid for every article that is published on a monthly basis, and it's a lot. It's a very high volume. We gave some indication in the press release for what this one publisher across only half a dozen or so sectors. It represents more than 1,000 articles that we could initially deploy. I won't provide the specific number because I certainly do not want to give away any commercial information around pricing or anything like that, but it represents a very sizable opportunity, and that's the tip of the iceberg with that particular publisher, and it does open up the doors for others. Now, once we've got the case studies in place, then we're going to be in a stronger position to go and talk to other publishers to say, this is what we've done, not this is what we think we can do. And I think we'll be able to walk in with a lot of credibility to pretty much any publisher, and once we can showcase the results. That's a picture of New York, and I think we're done.
All right, so I'll get us kicked off here. The publishing opportunity kind of, I'll say, came to you. Can you comment on that? And then I guess from an overall perspective, maybe talk about how your strategy has shifted from, when we first started following you to kind of how you refine things, 5-step approach, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so what we've learned over the journey is that if we can control things within our own ecosystem, it's a lot better for us and for the customer. Where things can go awry is if we provide the advice or the recommendations and customers deploy them on their website. They may or may not get that right. I'm not saying we're perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they don't always follow the advice, or they'll put their own little bit of flavor in there. A bit like grandma's recipe, they'll add a little bit of extra celery salt or do something that means the recipe's not quite right. We've always had the publishing assets, and they've been like a bedrock of our business for quite some time. And it just seemed to make so much sense to us to leverage that database that we've got, leverage the publishing assets that we've got, which have very good domain authority, and bring them together. And we don't see anybody else in the market doing that at all. We know that a number of those citation management companies that I shared with you in that presentation have tried to run things like local pages, and they do offer a product like that, but they don't rank. They just serve a purpose that it ticks a box, if you like. And on the article side, we didn't think of the article concept at all. It was the client said, hey, we've got this really valuable revenue stream. We'd like to get more revenue from it. Do you think you can increase the prominence? And it kind of went from there. And it opened up what we now see as a very, very large market opportunity. And as I said, fortunately for once, it's got the Google algorithm changes have gone in our favor, because it's not an option for those publishers to run that anymore. And if they want to be involved in SEO, they've either got to have their own operations or utilize someone like us.
So Gavin, I think you just answered a question I was going to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway as I'll say a focused question, which is simply, SEO is out there. What is it that makes you unique, and why do you feel you're different than others who offer what you offer?
Okay, so SEO it's not what people think. And I can say that now, having been in the industry for quite some time. It's highly technical, and it's got everything to do with the structure of the site, the URL, the titles, the headers, and the images. And it's the combination of those things. Google does not read the content, doesn't process it. And if you think about it, how could it possibly do that? So why we're different is that we've, through years of testing, not just a few things here and there, we know what the algorithm is looking at in a URL structure, and we've now baked that into all of our pages, so that the customer only has to worry about what does it want the customer to read once the pages are found. So we can be very precise about the keywords that it's going to rank for, where it's going to rank, in terms of the locations, and we don't see anybody else doing that. We certainly don't see that any other SEO companies have identified, that site structure, that entity-based site structure that we have built into all of our pages. And I guess the proof's in the pudding. I mean, one of the world's biggest media companies just said, we're going to go with you because you know what you're doing. We know you can do it. And when you think about it, for a company like that, where it's actually outsourcing its core function, which is publishing. It's not actually selling advertising on an asset it owns. And I've been in publishing 30 years and I have not seen that.
So does the fact that you have like the directories, the listing, kind of the components of that 5 steps to gain prominence that you spoke of, does that significantly position you ahead of people who might offer something similar?
I believe so, absolutely. It really did dawn on us that we've got the opportunity sitting right there in front of us. Those companies, every single one I showed you there, are connected to our API. So we don't have to go and say, do you want to connect? They're already connected. What we need to do is show them how they can create these landing pages, products, and articles from the data that they're already sending to us. So I think that puts us well advanced to other parties that may want to do something similar. So we're very, very excited about that opportunity. And I'll extend the answer to this, Brian, because it's possibly not a question that would have been asked. It's actually given us the roadmap or the game plan for how we deploy these new assets as well in specific niches. So what we've learned is that you need to have that contextual relevance. So we'll go and buy an age domain, so one that's got a few years on it and with good authority, like 50 plus. We can then use our own, and let's just say it's in real estate as an example. We've already got tens and tens of thousands of real estate agents and agencies in our database, both from HotFrog, but also those data partners that publish onto HotFrog. So we've got a ready-made niche directory that we can publish using data we already have. Now, those companies are more than happy to create an additional property where their customers can get more prominence. We put that on the root domain, and that gives us the contextual relevance for whatever topic the website's about. And then we run the articles on the subdomain. Now, why do we do that? well, if something happened to the subdomain, we can always chop it off and do a new one. It's sort of a risk mitigation strategy as well. So it gives us two bites of the cherry. It gives us a directory which we can monetize through advertising and potentially charging customers to put their listings on there. It helps generate more traffic, which in turn helps the prominence of the articles or the authority of the articles. So yeah, I don't think there's other companies in such a strong position as we are to do that.
Florian, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, Gavin, since you just talked about the sort of trust and validation that comes from this big publisher, I just want to highlight one point again. So you are going to republish core articles from this publisher on your own domains, which you are going to own.
That's 100% correct.
So I think that's quite remarkable.
Yeah, we're pretty chuffed. I wouldn't have thought that would have been possible. And it's also why the negotiations took long. And I know you guys have been incredibly patient. I had a full head of hair when I met Brian only 2 years ago. But it's a great question, Florian. So I'll just give you a very quick timeline so you guys can sort of appreciate what the journey that we've been on there. So we got a call from the head of revenue for this company in January of 2020. Where are we? 2. Is that right? January 2023. I tell a lie. 2023, and said, "Help! Our traffic's declining. Don't know why. Can you help us?" Yeah. Yes, we can. The website was in a terrible state. They said, "Look, we want to protect these articles. These articles really are the revenue machine for us." We go, okay. So they said, "Can you boost them? Can you use your off-page technology to increase the prominence of these articles?" We said, "Yes, we think so." We got approval. By the time we got all the approvals and so on and so forth, we got the contract signed in June. That took 5 months to get a piece of paper to say, yes, we can do it. That was after doing trials, where the trials were very successful, getting very high value search terms to positions 1, 2, and 3. Then they said, okay, we need to go and get some full-on case studies in this sector. And we did that from sort of July, August, September, October, and we're ready to go to market. And then they got told to pull down all their articles. And this was in a particular sector, which was very lucrative. Got back on the horse, and then they said, we'll try other sectors in January, and had just got going on that. And then they got the hit from Google in March, and that slowed things down again. And then all the articles were pulled down in May. Back on the phone, guys, we need help. Can you help us? Said, okay, well, here's a range of strategies. What the strategy one was, put it on a subdomain. You can keep your brand, and it will have no impact whatsoever on your news properties. Strategy 2, go and buy age domains, and we'll manage it for you, but you own it. And then strategy 3, well, we'll build it and own it, and you can put your articles on there. And if you had have asked me which one they would have gone for, it wouldn't have been number 3 in my wildest dreams, but that's what they did. And we couldn't be happy with that result. So it's taken longer, but I think it's going to be far better, because if this customer ever decides that they don't want to use our services anymore, guess what? We've got the properties. They're our properties.
So sticking on this global media company, so the pricing on this is fixed, right? Fixed per
Correct.
article.
Correct.
And so you've gotten, I'll say, the first wave or group of articles that you can put out there. When do you expect that you can potentially be called upon for additional articles?
Okay, so those actual articles will go live in the next 5, 6, 7 days. How it works with Google is you've really got to give it 30 days. We don't know when we're going to hit the Google cycle, but it usually takes 21 days just for them to recognize the site's up and there's traffic coming to it. So we've basically put in there and said, look, you need 90 days realistically, and that's hand on heart. You need that 90 days to see the results. But in terms of when we would expect to see revenue associated with that, would be in Q1 or the March quarter, so from January, February, March. So what will happen is, come December 31, we'll see how they're all going, and it's quite a number that we're publishing, and it'll be up to the end client as to whether they want to keep the article up there or not. So between now and the end of the year, we just need to demonstrate that we can get these articles ranking for the target keywords that they're trying to rank for, which we're confident they will do. What's going to convert? I don't know. Is it half? Is it 100? I don't know. But we're going to grab this opportunity with both hands, and believe me, it's got our team's complete focus to get the best results we can, Brian.
Just to confirm, Gavin, did you say it was not just the first batch, but it was the next wave of articles as well that you will be trying to get live within the next week or two before year end?
No, the first wave, that's the first wave we want to get live. And there is another 1,000+ articles beyond that are waiting in the wings that were pulled down. We've already got a copy of all of them.
Okay, and your anticipated rough timeline of when you think those may or may not go live, if you had to guess?
If I had to guess, I would say Q1 next year. That's the good thing with this partnership, is that we're mutually aligned. Like they want to get the revenue back as much as we want to generate the revenue. If you think about it from their perspective, they've had a big hole punched in their budget as a result of these articles being removed. So they'll move as quickly as they can, and they've got a big sales team, a much bigger sales team than we could possibly hope to, and they've got the relationship.
Gavin, I just wanted to get some clarity on what you just said. When you said Q1, are you referring to calendar Q1?
Yes, my apologies. Yeah, I meant the March quarter.
The March quarter, okay. And when you were saying that the revenue for the initial batch would come through in that quarter, does that mean that would be the first time you're paid for the ones that are already being published in the next week?
That's correct. So the strategy that we gave the client was this. What they had done before was just say, here's 4 or 5 articles, go make them rank. And we did. But they were forced to take those down that particular category. So what we said here is that put them all up, put as many up as you want, and then take down what you don't want or what the customers don't want. That way you're not trying to pick winners out of the gate. So we said, put them all up, and then by the end of the year, let's see what's still there, and we'll start getting paid for those. And we thought that was a pretty good strategy.
So does that mean that the initial batch, which I think had the contract value you mentioned in the press release, I believe, where we were talking about $500,000, something like that, that is going to be up, and then whichever ranks or whichever survives will stay up, and you'll be paid for that, or you're going to be paid for all of them that went up?
No, be paid for what stays. So the way that it works is they've got the articles are connected to quite large media agencies. So these agencies might have 10, 15, 20 articles each. They don't deal in 1s and 2s. So they'll go back to the agency, show them the results, and they'll keep up those articles which are starting to show signs that they're ranking for the keywords that they want. And these are highly lucrative market sectors, so it's in their interest as well that these articles rank, and that that we get prominence for these particular pages.
And so the other 1,000 that you said they could go up on during the first calendar quarter, and then it would be up to how they rank Google-wise and the end customer as to whether they're going to remain on a monthly basis?
No, those ones would be paid as we go. We've already proven ourselves at that point, but they will be in different sectors. So there's around 6 main sectors that they deal in. I don't want to explain what those individual ones are, but the first 3 groupings represent about 80% of those 1,000 articles, and they're very, very lucrative market sectors. I don't know if we'll be able to get all 1,000 up in that quarter. Realistically, if we got the next 2 up, which have a few hundred articles each in, I'd be pretty pretty stoked with that, because that would have broken the back of the bulk of the categories, and certainly the most valuable ones. Then after that would be, by the end of our financial year, I'd hope that we'd have them all up.
Okay, so thank you for that. So just final bit of clarity there. So let's just, and obviously you don't know for sure, and then we don't want to speculate too much, but if, let's say, whatever, 300 of the 1,000 go up in the first count in the March quarter,
Mhm.
and you've already demonstrated that a substantial portion of the initial batch that are going up next week do rank, and then the next step then would be to see how the 2 or 300 would actually rank, and or you would automatically be paid for that hypothetical 2 or 300 on a monthly basis until or unless the end customer cancels it, which I assume they wouldn't be doing if it's ranking well.
Yeah, so starting from the back, yes, if it's ranking well, I doubt they'll cancel. From what we've seen historically, their customers have tended to keep these articles up for quite a period of time. They don't, and the reason that they ranked before well was they were sitting on a very high domain authority website. It's why news sites, when they run a new news articles, rank at the top, because they've got such high authority. Now, to just working backwards, so I think there's about 4 questions in there, so I'm trying to answer all of them. Was the next batch, they're going to want to get paid from their customers as well. So we're going to be in a position where if they want us to do the work and get these up, we're going to have to get paid for that. And I don't think there's been any argument about that. We've demonstrated ourselves to them multiple times. Yeah, so they're not difficult to work with. They're just very conservative. They're good company, and I think once you're in there, you'll be in there for a while.
So the same quarter, just to confirm, the same quarter, more or less, given, let's say, a month of delay maybe, that you actually have whatever the next batch of articles published would be, Locafy will get paid approximately around that time for those published articles, and they will, and on a monthly basis, you'll be paid as long as they remain, up there, and the end customer wants it there. Is that correct?
That is correct, Todd. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No, good questions. Yeah. Hey, Sam, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you, Gavin. Just a follow up on Todd's question, and just to make it like explicit, I think I already know the answer, but I just want to kind of make sure we're on the same page. Basically, the first wave translates to the 500K of the announcement, and the 1,000 articles translates to the 6 million. Is that roughly? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. But I just wanted to make sure it's clear. All right, Brian, take it away.
And anyone else jump in, and Josh, if I don't see him, if you can point it out to me.
Oh yeah, sorry, Brian, I have to jump in as well. You gave me a keyword, Gavin. You mentioned the sales force from this publisher, that it's very big. Can you talk about how these sales reps are compensated or incentivized to approach their clients for your solution?
Yeah, they're commission based. There's several dozen of them just in this particular space. So you can imagine the consternation from this group when these articles were pulled down. You can probably do the math. If that's what we're getting paid, you can imagine what they're charging the customer. Obviously they're not doing it for free, and they've got to make a certain margin on that to make it even worthwhile going and selling, because they've got to pay the sales reps, pay the commission. So Florian, I don't know the exact specifics in terms of what basis it's commission or anything like that, but I do know that they're incentivized on a commission basis to sell these products. I do have an idea of what their monthly targets are. I won't reveal that, but put it a different way, these articles will definitely help them achieve that sort of base commission threshold that I'm aware of.
And is it correct that you are also in contact with some of these sales reps, and you also have the possibility to contact some of the end clients?
Yes. So on the first one first, yes, the sales reps, we've got a very good relationship with some of the key salespeople there. It's like I said, it's a team. We're essentially a part of their team. We can't say we're part like yeah, we've got a direct line into some of the key people there because they want this to be successful. And that's with the blessing of management. So we're not going behind anyone's back. They call us, we call them. In terms of going to other customers, yes, but I think the ethical thing to do there is we've got a couple of other products that would fall outside what a typical publisher would sell to their clients. But I think it would be the right thing for us to do if they've got the relationship that we work with them and give them the first bite of the cherry to say, do you want to represent this product to that client? We wouldn't go behind their back and just go direct. We would go through the front door. And if they said no, go with our blessing, then that's fine. Then.
Sam, did you want to step in?
Yeah, I had one more, and I don't know if it's already been said. I might have missed it, but Gavin, on the revenue that you're getting from this particular contract, what are the margins like? What are the cost of goods sold like? I was just wondering if you could speak to that.
Let's just say very high. There's not a lot of cost of sale. The true cost has been in the development, the millions of dollars that we poured into the development of the technology and the creation of it. So now we can deploy that at a fairly low cost. But why the price is very nice is because of the value that it delivers. I think that's the important thing. We're able to get value for the technology that we've created. I think discretion's a better part of valor on answering that one specifically, Sam. But
so going back to what I started out a moment ago, but you've announced various partnerships over the last 12 months, 18 months, and I'd say it seems like we haven't seen much in the way of fruit from those announcements. So I'll say, more broadly speaking, if you're willing to comment on any specific aspect, that would be great. But I guess I'm looking more towards what do you see as far as deal flow at this point in time? What sort of opportunities are in front of you? Obviously, you've been very focused on the publishing side of things, but so kind of maybe a two-part question: some of the existing partnerships and where they're at, as well as where you see things going.
Yep. So it actually loops back to what I was saying before, I guess, is that while we can provide recommendations, and I'd rather not name specific companies on a public call, public forum. What we've seen is that where we provide the recommendations and so forth, they don't always get implemented as per the instructions. And in some cases, the company will put their own flavor on it and then inadvertently make horrendous mistakes, which it's so easy to do if you don't do it well. So that in one instance has caused a huge delay, not on us at all. And I would own up, as you know, Brian, I'm very transparent. I'll always tell you if we've done something good, bad, or indifferent. But in that instance, it was entirely out of our control. In other instances, so basically the lesson learned is that with the publishing assets we have, better off to control it and do it ourselves, and we've only got ourselves to point at if things don't work as we intend. So in terms of the opportunities, which is part B to that question, I think they're right in front of us. And yes, we're in fairly deep negotiations with a few of those partners that I showed you earlier with that sort of 5-step process. And because the data's already there. We're also looking at getting a lot deeper into the content origination side of things as well. So that's something we're going to be looking at in the new year, is how do we get ourselves closer to the source of the creation of that content, citation management, basically. And in terms of the articles, the solution that we've got for this particular publisher, once we've got enough case studies and track record that we can take to market, then I think we can walk into other publishers that we know have been hit hard and propose a solution for them. So I don't think there's much point in going to them until we've got a reputable set of case studies in a few different sectors that we can point to. Then we don't have to go through the whole proof of concept and does it work kind of thing. Oh, and yeah, Sam, I won't mention the rugby, if that's all right.
Gavin, just I won't mention the rugby either. But when looking forward, where do you see your business, say in like 12 months, 24 months, 5 years down the road? Can you give us a vision?
Yeah, I see us as being a successful global publishing business with two really sort of core areas. One is in the local space, and that is leveraging the citation management companies, the directory type assets that we have, and a highly automated suite of products that are created from the business listing content that people put in. We want to make that as streamlined and as easy to deploy as possible at a very competitive price point. I also see that we'll have a number of niche content sites which are more national in focus, and across lucrative advertising sectors. That's really where we see. So we're leveraging all the SEO technology we built. The difference is that we're going to be doing a lot less on third-party websites. It's just too hard. But yeah, doing it on ourselves. So if people want to take advantage of the quality SEO that we have, then you have to buy it from us. And it was a close game, and then it started. So Brian, in case you're wondering, Australia towered up Wales yesterday, 52-20 in the rugby. Surprised he's not a blubbering mess on the floor. It's
I won't derail the call right now. I'll keep things on track.
Probably a perfect final question, but I'm not going to allow it to be. I'm going to go back into a lead here, which is on the business opportunity side. What have you seen in terms of production from resellers? We haven't touched on that.
That's been our focus in the last 6 to 9 months has really been on getting these content sites up. So we've put that side of business pretty much in more so care and maintenance, so just maintaining the revenue that we've got. Because as I say, that where we want to go with the resellers is to make it as easy and as foolproof as possible, leveraging this 5-step process where we don't have to spend much time with them at all. So that's been steady state. It hasn't grown, it hasn't really dropped. It's just been tinkering along. And yeah, that's how it will be for the near term until we've got this technology stitched together into a one-stop shop. Is the honest answer on that.
And Gavin, what is the time frame? Oh, sorry, Brian. Gavin, what do you think the time frame would be before you have all of that as a one-stop, well-oiled machine that you can just automated plug and play?
I think it'll definitely be before the end of the financial year. We are working with several companies now on projects that are specifically to do with taking business listing content and turning it into landing pages. So we have several paid proof of concepts where, should that do what it's supposed to do, would open up exactly that opportunity to do that on scale. We're talking companies that have got many thousands of franchisees or whatever you want to call them in their mix. So yeah, that's underway. We're building several of those out now. So I think there's a very big opportunity in that space.
And you're, just so we're on the same page, you're talking about SEO firms that sell web marketing services and those kind of things that could plug in your technology into their services to their clients, which is what we talked about a year ago. Is that what you mean?
No, that's more the resellers. Now, let's just use this as an example of like a real estate group. So a real estate company might have 10,000 real estate agents. Each of those agents operates in a local area, for example. Those agents would want to be prominent for search terms like real estate agent, houses for sale in the area that they service. Now, the parent company would have the data. So let's go back to that sort of first step, the curation of the content, push that into our platform, and then we create a standardized template for the agent, which is designed, and those pages are then designed to rank for real estate agent in suburb, neighborhood, city, whatever the region is. On scale, we can get that to a very attractive price for those individual agents that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do if they're doing it on a ones and twos type basis. So that is, I think, a tremendous opportunity, and it's something that those, it's a benefit that the franchise owner can offer the franchisees, and it's a benefit to the franchisee to rank prominently to get more business locally. So that's more what I'm talking about, those sort of opportunities there. The SEO companies, they're actually the hardest ones to deal with, because they already have their view on things. And I'm not saying we know everything, we know a lot, but they are the hardest guys to deal with. I can show you, I can show you something. Brian's seen this, and Florian's seen this, and Josh has seen this, and I think Sam's seen this. But we can make anything rank because we know that the site structure. So if I show this to you, okay, so this is the AI demo that we did. I won't say who the client is, but you can see it's real estate. So we took, in this case, a long tail keyword. That was the target. That was the headline in the client's own webpage. We used their listing content and created an article using AI, so no human hand touched it, and then we published it. You can see the date. It was page 1, same day. And we're not known for our design capabilities, but this wasn't the idea. The idea was just to prove, can it rank? And it ranks because of the way that the site is structured. And the same applies with the national articles as well. It's a slightly different structure, but it's the same principle.
Showing us that, and I think we're back to the top of the hour, so I think we need to let you begin your day and let's begin our night.
Yeah, no worries at all. Well, thanks very much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, and I'll try to make myself available to you as often as I can, as you need. And watch this space.
Thanks so much.
Excellent.
Pleasure.
Take care, Gavin.
Thanks, Gavin.
Thank you, Gavin.
Some or all the speakers may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast. The views in this podcast expressed are those of the speakers, not Breakout investors. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. Neither Breakout Investors nor any of its affiliates makes any representation or warranty, express or implied, as to the accuracy or completeness of the statements or any information presented by this podcast and any liability, including in respect of direct, indirect, or consequential loss or damage, therefore is expressly disclaimed. No one on this podcast is an investment advisor. No one is providing investment advice. Before investing in any company's stock, you must do your own research. Thank you for listening.